Alright, so this is the old breakdown you asked me for. 7 games. It really doesn't take 7 games to get to the point of this. So there's like three big overall themes that are still in your play. The the smallest one is you drop combos. Like you drop Zundas, you'll go to melee somebody and you won't finish the sequence. You won't down them because you don't have to down them with melees, but you don't down them. You drop combos. That's a big thing. Number one. Number two is this is actually a smaller thing that you shouldn't think too much about right now. You're never really prepared for situations. Like I'll point out examples of what I'm talking about, but there are some things that like you just have to be prepared for, and you're generally never prepared for them. But the reason for that is because of number three, and number three is like the big overarching thing that I actually said a while ago, and there's been some improvements on it, but it's still a big thing, and it's the fact that your fundamentals, and I'm talking about like how you move, uh, when you decide to play offense or defense. There's not a lot of defense. Like who you're targeting or what you're trying to avoid, uh, how you use your MO, when you burst, stuff like that. Uh, None of that is like super solid, and you have to think about it too much. Which you even said is one thing you were doing was trying to think about what you were doing while you were playing. You can't really do that. Like you have to have that internalized so that you can process the information on the screen, read what the hell's happening, and be able to react based on what's upon happening. Before I even like click play and start going through these, the solution to that is the same one as it always is. You need to play more, but it's still the playing more with a purpose. Like you need to sit down and grind. Give me 1 second. I'm about to sneeze. I think I'm about to sneeze. I could be lying, and I'm doing this raw, so I'm not editing this. All right, sorry. So you need to sit down and play and like literally grind your movement, grind your patterns, like your shooting patterns. Practice like switching through targets through stuff, so that you don't have to think about it. Like it's the literal muscle memory, and that way you can like look at what's happening in the match, look at a scenario, and you can think about it there, and you don't have to think about the movement. Like this sounds familiar because I've told you this before, but within I wouldn't even say more than 45 seconds of the first match, it was very obvious to me that it's still a thing. The other thing, which is again going to still sound familiar, you need to actually take the time, or if you, I don't know if you do or not. Let me not make it sound like you don't. You need to take more time or be more consistent with sitting down and reviewing your play and like going through the thought process of what you were doing, going through the thought process of what you want to do if you want to change it, and like developing a game plan at that point. Like that's where you need to do the thinking. Like you, it's really hard to try to think of stuff like that on the fly. Like it's that's just how everything is. It's not just this game. It's not just fighting games. It's pretty much anything where you have constant interactions with somebody, like constant changing interactions. It's really hard to like think of what you need to do mechanically yourself and think about what's happening. That's too much of a mental load. And with that being said, I think those will highlight the finer points of everything that happens through these. So let's take a look through these. Let's take a look through these while I take a nice sip of high quality H2O. All right. A little bit of movement. movement spaghetti right there. And yeah, I can stop because, yeah, like that right there showed me enough as is. I went back too far. Do that. Oh, no. I didn't prepare this part. Told you this was wrong. I mean, sure, I'll give you stepping away from that, but see, this is I'll fault this, or I'd put this in thinking too much. And you're thinking too much because you see this and you're like, well, I have to step. But you're not looking enough. You're not so comfortable enough to look and realize you're in green lock. You don't have to do all of this. So you step twice. And the important part of that is that's 2 moves. That's 2 boosts from your pool already gone. So you go around the building and you come across Volpe. You come across V2. That's more important, right? And you go to shoot some funnels, which, I mean, that's a fine thing to do. But this is another example of not having your execution down, not having your movement down. He's shooting at you right now, which is why the I actually didn't check to see if my cursor was on here. 1 second. Yeah. Which is why you got the flashing indicator, right? So you're going to have to evade at this range. But from shooting your funnels, you go to land immediately. Because that's the only thing you can do. You're in vernier. You put yourself in vernier without any forethought that a fast shot could be coming your way. So there's very little you can do about this. You try to boost, which is why some of your boost is gone and you're going to the right. But boosting doesn't cut the tracking, and you get hit literally on the side. So with this scenario alone, there's a couple things that you're probably already thinking that you could have done to avoid getting into this scenario, which had been paying more attention to the spacing, taking a look probably at the radar for the actual like distance and guessing that the V2 is coming at you. One of the key ones is either not shooting the funnels right there, or let me see if I have this right this time. Yeah. It's either not shooting these funnels right here, or you can wait a little bit later and then step shoot the funnels. When you shoot them, I guess it turns into like some after thing. Because there's 2 after things that could have happened. When you shot them, instead of just boost diving, which you can't step out of, meaning you can't cut tracking, you could have boosted and then step dove. You also could have boosted and then blocked. Both of those would have stopped it. And then from here, excuse me 1 sec. From here, when you were moving, again, you just tried the boost. You didn't step, which stepping would have cut the tracking, or you could have blocked. And even though blocking isn't like the most ideal thing, you could have blocked. More specifically with the stepping, like the obvious way is to step left or right. However, because he jumped and shot this shot, I wouldn't be too surprised if you could have stepped forward and stepped under it. The reason why I'm telling you like all of these options specifically is because this goes back to like the little exchange we had on Discord sometime before whenever you get this VOD. And you were talking about needing to sit down and process like what to do with each of the movement types, when to use them, why to use them. And I told you that the ultimate answer is going to be however you decide. It's going to take you sitting down and figuring out how you want to get out of the scenario, how you want to use them, but the ultimate answer is going to be what you decide. And the reason why I say that is, of all of those answers I just gave you, none of those are wrong. They're all acceptable answers that keep you from getting hit. But the end result is, which one of those would you have chose to do? Which ones, or one, hopefully it's ones as in plural, but even if it's just one, like which one of those is something that's high up on your priority list, something that you do fundamentally? Because right now, none of those are, which is why you went in, you shot your funnels, like regardless of what was happening in front of you, you boost dove afterwards because that's higher in your priority. Shoot funnels, land immediately to get the boost. And I can't tell if you saw the shot coming or not, but when looking at somebody and there is a chance that they could shoot at you, it's in your nature to just try to boost away from it rather than step boost away or step anything. The step being the key thing, because you could step jump, step fuwa, whatever. Step to the side. You could have blocked. But yeah, again, just like in this one short moment, a lot of information has been said, which is why I was, in the very beginning, I was like, this isn't really going to take 7 VODs. It's not going to really take 7 matches. Because you'll see this repeat very often. And for the record, I guess this is more of like when I throw this into Discord. This wasn't like this was the first game. This was the last 7. So this is like a good 15 or 20 games into the session. So sure, you might be a little fatigued from playing, but this is the time where you really start to see how you function by default. Let's keep going, because you got tagged. And it was a waste of the fork, but he'll be okay. Hey, what happened here? Let's back up. So you shot funnels, and you shot a BR, but you don't finish the combo. And so you get downed instead. And like I preface this with, this is pretty common for you. Like, you don't have hit confirms. You don't have hit confirms. And this is leading with funnels. So that means you don't... How do I word this? You don't really... I can't even say you don't put yourself in a position to follow up on your funnels. You just don't have, like, a really sharp awareness to your funnels. You're not, like, really honed in on them. Oh, that's not far enough back. Right there. Because, yeah, between that and shooting the BR, even with landing right here, you can still confirm this. You can confirm this very easily. I mean, I don't even need to go through all the ways. You just literally have to shoot. The simplest way is to boost forward and shoot. But again, like, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. And based off everything you said, I'll assume you were thinking too hard, because looking for this is not one of the things that's high up on your mental stack. You're thinking of, like, making sure I step dive, where am I going to go from here, so on and so forth. Things that should be natural. This turns into being prepared for the situation. It's a combination of a lot of things, but it's ultimately being prepared for the situation, because you're in V2's face, and V2 has a lot of wide range shots. Therefore, you don't really want to be here. You just don't really want to be here. And since you're there, you think step diving is going to save you. Step diving is not going to save you. I've been talking a lot today. Water break. All right. So yeah, you had a second to sit there and think about it. Yeah, you shouldn't be there against V2. Like, it's not even a situation of knowing what mode it's in. Like, that's a more finer detail. Just at the end of the day, you don't want to be here. So we are 16 seconds into this match, right? And there's one key thing you haven't done. And since I've watched these VODs twice now, I know what happens next, and I know why this happens. It's very simple. You've never looked at the other suit, which is me, by the way. You've never looked at the other suit. So, since you're putting a lot of thought into your movement, your shooting, because you did mention that you feel like you shoot a lot. I know you said it was Sanaju, but that kind of goes over everything. You're not paying any real attention to the enemy team. You're focused on your one target. And it just so happens that guy number 2 on the other team is, well, there's a couple parts, so let me back up. Guy number 2 is paying attention to both of you. That's thing number 1. Thing number 2, since you're thinking about your positioning, from this spot right here, I guess more specifically, I could go right here. Because you see this. You stood up immediately, which you didn't have to stand up immediately because you're not in a good spot. You're in a corner. But you stand up, and yes, I can say you're giving space to this V2, but you're putting yourself in a corner while you're double locked. Granted, your partner's in between one of the locks, so it's not like you should be under the most duress. Excuse me. But the fact of the matter is, you're putting yourself in the corner. But I'm pretty sure you're not prepared for this. I'm kind of pointing this out because you're for a positioning thing. Let me just keep it simple. It's a positioning thing. Like, did you actually want to put yourself in a corner? Are you ready to play in the corner where you're stuck in the corner? Your partner's in a really bad double lock because they're on the wall. And not only is he on the wall, he's your back suit on the wall. So, this roll and this boost right here causes so much problems. The funnels do as well. The boost itself isn't that bad if you were to, actively move forward and shoot and press. But you're shooting funnels. Funnels are, a really passive thing to do because they take time to actually go over and activate. They put you in vernier so you can't dodge immediately. So this takes a lot of time. This is a setup. And this is a setup where your partner's in L, although your partner's not actually double locked. This is again another information thing, because you're already being looked at this point from the suit that you haven't looked at the entire match. And so you get hit. And even in this, well, I have to break fourth wall for this. I know for a fact that I was aiming at you, even though you're moving across your partner, which is putting you both in jeopardy of getting hit by this Zero. I know this is meant for you specifically because I'm shooting at you and looking at your partner, because I know for a fact that I'm hitting you because you're not looking at me. But the big problem is that you never looked at the freedom. You're moving to the freedom's vector. You're moving in the L. You never look at it. You're moving in the corner. You're moving in front of your partner. These are things that, with no prior thought, are really hard to analyze during the match, while you still have to pay attention to who's looking at you, where they at, so on and so forth. It's a lot of stuff. That's why you want to think about stuff like this now, so you subconsciously make stronger decisions. The stronger decision in this scenario being to go the other way. And we carry on. Because if I keep stopping like this, I will be here all night. I'm not trying to do that. This This is a movement thing. And I've said this a few times, I haven't harped on this too much. Both of the suits are in front of you. So even though you're double locked, they're technically shooting on one vector. You realistically should never get hit in this scenario. Like, nobody should ever really get hit in this scenario. This is not threatening. But the reason why you get hit is because it's not even because of your movement. It's a shooting habit you have with Nu. You like to do a step dive and then shoot your CSB. So the problem with this is CSB is vernier. And you can't land while you're in vernier. Right? You can't land while you're in vernier. That's thing number one. Because you're in vernier, you can't step. So if somebody shoots at you while you do this, you have to boost before you can step. I know I just said this, but I'm pointing this out because you do this a lot. So because you can't step, you just land. And you don't even get a chance to move. You don't get a chance to move because, back up again, from here, you take a boost, you take a step hop, you take a step dive, so that's 4 boosts right there, and then you shoot, and then you boost dive. That's 5. You're in red. That's a lot of boost in a scenario where you weren't really threatened. Like, well, I can't say you weren't really threatened. You're not in a real dangerous position. Because, again, these two shooting at you, no matter what they do, they're shooting on one vector. The only reason you should get hit from one vector is if you're taking a risk. You're not taking a risk here. You're not taking a risk here. So this is another one of these key points where you have to sit and you have to, like, think about, you have to recall what you were thinking, right? And why you were doing this. And you have to recognize this scenario. And then you have to piece together how you want to move, how you want to handle this situation the next time you see it. And then you have to go play and drill it into your muscle memory. You have to drill it in to where you do it in your sleep. Let's carry on. So, I actually could talk about this later, and I have a better example saved to this later. But let's talk about this real quick, alright? I need to go back here. And you said, when you play Sananju, you feel like you overshoot, and you feel like you never have enough ammo because it has a low BR count. You said BR specifically. If you look, you do shoot a lot, but you shoot realistically for no good reason. And this is one of the scenarios where you shoot for no good reason. Because you're in green lock. You shoot a BR. Shooting into the building is not even a problem. Like, that's just the nature of the map. And you turning to just, like, snap a shot. Which, snapping a shot doesn't do anything because there's only one vector going to this freedom. This freedom shouldn't get hit. But it's in green lock. You're not going to hit it. Still in green lock. You let go of CSB. The funnels are okay because of the nature of how funnels work. But the thing I'm getting at, and this is something to note throughout all of these VODs, is that you're really prone to just shooting. Like, you even said it yourself. Like, the only way you know to quote unquote put pressure on people is to shoot. But it's because you haven't sat and thought about how you can put yourself, or how close you can get, or where you can get. I literally meant how close or where. how close or where you can stand to still be safe, to still be able to react, but put yourself in a better position to hit somebody. You haven't thought about like where you and your partner. This is a key thing. Where you and your partner need to be to easily hit people or to get higher chances to hit people. You're still at the stage of, I know to hit somebody I need to shoot. Therefore, I'm going to shoot. And while I am shooting, I'm really hinging on them making a movement mistake so it hits them. That's what your shots are saying. And since there are not a lot of movement mistakes, that's why very few of your shots hit. Like, this seems like a good idea. And it's not a bad idea, because technically speaking, when you see this, you're looking at a target in vernier, but all you really have to do is check it. Like, literally check it with one shot. Oh. Ooh, that's a little bit of the VLC player. But yeah, like, you're not realistically going to hit somebody in this scenario. Unless it's somebody who's just AFK and not paying attention. And the other thing, this is, again, processing the information. You're being looked at by both of these suits. So there's no hiding this. This is very blatant, very obvious. And it's just milking this for as much time and seeing if it'll catch your partner before having to move. And the reason why I mention this is because you put 3 shots into it. 3 shots into a green lock freedom that is looking at you. Again, this is something you do often enough. I won't say fairly often, I won't say too often, but this is something that you do. And you probably haven't really sat and thought about the scenario. But the end result is you shoot 3 shots. And then you will eventually wonder why you have no ammo. So a very low percentage shot to take. And I'm pretty sure at this point that by everything that I've said so far about your movement, you should actually be able to figure out why this hit. Because this is a reasonably good shot to take. I'm not even going to tell you why you hit this. You should be able to figure out why you hit this. And these are the kinds of things you should be looking for. And also, this is a different thing. There's a reason why, there is a reason why you didn't get hit. It wasn't what I was thinking, which is you stepped, but you were boosting to the side, which is still pretty good. Put on the pyramid. Okay, let's talk about this death, because there's quite a few things in this death. Alright, so from the good shot. So, I'm not even going to sugarcoat stuff. You still have half your boost. You still have half your boost, and you still have your burst, and you have downed 1 suit. Well, you should not know for a fact that you downed this suit, but even you've like done a soft knock now. Therefore, you have some 2v1 time. You should be going in because you should be wanting to burst, because you don't want to die with your burst. Right? But you land and you turn on the pyramid, which is reasonable. Don't get me wrong. Oh, alright. Come back, VLC. You land, you turn on your pyramid, but you go in. And there's a couple things there's a couple things that are not strong with just going in like that. 1, you died with your burst. But 2, because of how and when you went in, which is just like beelining straight in, you're not paying attention to who's looking at you. And again, you don't look around very much. You're just diving into L with no consideration that both the suits are just going to turn on you, which is what happens. You might think to say, well, I thought my partner was going to back me up. Your partner did the best thing possible, which is let you die without taking damage. So for you to get the most mileage out of this play, you can't literally just dive in there. Like, you have to put some thought about, like, who are you attacking? Like, are you trying to bait something out? Are you trying to force one of the move and maybe set up your partner from green lock? Because your partner can play from green lock. Masala can play from green lock very well. There's some more scenario things to think about. I'll have you know that this VOD, you'll see this VOD is 30 minutes in, and I've just talked up to your first death. Try to speed it up a little bit. There's the burst. Now you're in a 2v1. Partner dies in a 2v1. Did you notice your partner was dying in a 2v1? Did you know where your partner was? Because you're moving away from your low partner. Like, you started kind of sort of going back, but you never looked in that general area until he was already dead. So now you guys are in the crunch scenario. And the other team kind of just gets the free fire. And this burst probably feels good. It's not really that good. It's not really that strong. Hello, blue bar, get out of here. If that blue bar was there the whole time, I never noticed. So the reason why this isn't really that strong is because when you half burst, or when you full burst to literally burst, you lose like a fourth of your burst, right? So sure, you mitigated some of the damage you took, but you'd have much rather just avoided it and then got the full burst anyways. I might have to restart this. Because again, this is another scenario where you shouldn't get hit. Why not? Because you see both of the suits in front of you. Therefore, you're not in L-lock. Bit of a live water break there. You activate the pyramid, sure, but a lot of your pyramid time, or a decent chunk of it, is wasted by landing. And then it's a technical 2v1. Realistically, it's a 1v1 because your partner's not stepping up to help you. Kind of don't know why, but it's really far. And then the suit you're shooting at is moving away from you. So it's wasting a lot of your time. But because you went to take this somewhat awkward jump when you're not being threatened, it makes you really easy to time and hit on the way down. Hey, where are you at? You're in L-lock, right? Let's go all the way back here. You get downed. You start moving in. You're moving into L-lock, but you're not really considering it. It's partially okay because the V2 is not looking at you, but you're not so sure about that. So you're evading like somewhat like the V2 is looking at you. Not entirely because you're just jumping on the vector, but the key thing is you're evading and using more boost, which is what makes you easier to hit in the back. It's a bit of a scramble. Oh, this is something you didn't consider. I know you didn't consider this. So, Freedom comes at you, shoots Jero, and then bursts, right? Something you have to remember, when a suit bursts, it gets its boost and its ammo back. The ammo being the key thing in this scenario, because what that means is there's a second Jero to punish you for landing. This is kind of like the scramble to stay alive. At this point, your game's effectively done because you can't go back in, and you know it. So there's not a lot to really say. This feels nice because you're like, I activated and I avoided a shot. But again, this is a scenario where you're technically 1v1. So you, especially from this range, you shouldn't get hit. So it takes a lot of time and your pyramid to avoid this shot when you could have just moved. And since nobody was really looking at you, the pyramid went to waste. Now you could argue that the pyramid did its job because nobody shot at you, but now you don't have it here. This was another scenario where going into Vernier, coming out of Vernier, blah blah. Hey, guess what happens? This was thing number 3. Well, thing number 2, the small thing that I mentioned. This is a scenario where you're pretty liable to get hit. You still should be able to avoid this, but you avoiding this hinges off of you understanding what suit you're going against and what it has. Because this is a wide horizontal shot, and it's really quick. So you actually have to be ready for it. You're not ready for this. You're not ready for that. You were moving like you had no clue that that was a thing that V2 could do. Alright, that's 36 minutes on the first one. Let's try to speed these up. I'm going to do more of like some spot checking here and there, but I imagine that I actually covered a good bit with just that one VOD alone. Number 2. It's not really stepping in, just kind of stepping around, doing the back and forth thing. And so the problem with this is that you're letting the other team come up and take the center, which I mean is okay, but you have to be prepared to move. You have to be prepared to play for it. Nothing really happened with it, but it's just something to keep in mind. Where are you at? Where are you at? I know this is something I've said before. One of the stronger things to do, one of the stronger places to move, is in a place to where your opponents have to like actually turn to look at you, aka you're out of their line of sight, right? Or you're out of their field of vision. I mean, L-lock is the ideal place, but like putting them in a crossfire is fine. And something that I've been on for like half a year now is just notice how often and how long you can only see one suit. That's just losing a 1v1. That happens a good amount to you too. I didn't say this in the precursor because this falls under fundamentals, but you do have a knack of going to take 1v1s and losing 1v1s. Because you even say this, or it's in how you talk and how you the thought process behind how you talk. But you always feel the need to do something. You always feel the need to like win scenarios. You don't really think about the aspect of not losing. Like, losing is actually worse than not losing. When I say not losing, I effectively mean not getting hit. Not getting hit means so much more than getting a hit. Well, it means as much in some scenarios. That's rambling. Got to keep going because you weren't ready for V2 twice. Moving around kind of haphazardly, not ready to get off of the y-axis, so you get blown up by a fork. And right here, you were being looked at by two suits. You were television on the Freedom. And I mean, this is kind of sold because there's a Gerald that was meant for you. And you hit that. But you weren't ready for the V2 that was also looking for you. So instead of putting yourself in Vernier, Well, I can't even say instead. You can't really put yourself in Vernier there. You can't really put yourself in Vernier. Moving on. Getting closer. You ready for close range? No. And that is partially my fault, because I've been one on, like, stop hitting the B button. Stop hitting the B button. But now there's actual thought behind people hitting B buttons and stuff. And that was pretty good, because, I mean, he closed the distance, and he was like, I don't think he's ready for me. You weren't ready. Put on a shield. Burst. Like, this could be done in a different order to actually get more time. But the concept was there. The chase, however, not so much. Because here's another thing to look at. So the V2 gets down. Let's not talk about how, because that freedom is kind of bad, right? But he's down for a few moments. This is your burst time. This is your pyramid time. So instead of trying to maximize it and take as much HP as possible, where you go and chase after the freedom, you're wasting it waiting for the V2 to stand up. If the V2 thought about it and actually recognized what was happening, you would have never stood up and just wasted more of your time. But it just so happens that in a quick little 1v1 scramble, it was actually a 2v1. You get hit. Freedom was being greedy. That's actually a confirm. Okay. See, these are the kind of shots that you are really hoping to hit by just constantly firing. Is you're hoping that there's like movement errors, bad shot choices in the Vernier, and like those are the main ways you get hit. But those aren't the best ways to go about it. That was actually a move away from V2. That's pretty good. Ammo count. That should have been a punish. And that could have been a really hefty punish with like quite a few things. But not being aware of where the ammo count is. Like, I'm going to decide to shoot the bazooka. And the other thing about shooting the bazooka is if the V2 just shot a BR, you'd be getting hit here. Because that's energy versus physical. Physical ammo loses that. So yeah, you'd have to know so much information for that bazooka to actually work. Kind of scrambling around again. Getting chased down. Losing a lot of boost. And this was another scenario of, am I ready for this scenario? You've overboosted a lot, landed with low boost. You can totally avoid this in 2 ways, 3 ways. Maybe 4. Because I don't know how this works. I'm pretty sure you could step around it. You could step back, you could jump back, or you could have shot. Or you could have blocked 5. But you tried to boost around it, which is not the answer. 2v1, 1v2. And that looks nice, but that's all a setup. It's all a setup. Skin got to be ready for everything. And this is a scenario where you might have had to have just bursted to keep yourself alive, keep yourself from getting hit. But you didn't. So the question is, how do you use your burst? It's a 1v1. But it's a 1v1. Well, because it's a 1v1, it would take wanting to get hit in this scenario. Again, you're not making a wrong choice by doing this. You just have to understand that that's not very likely. So try to follow up with the CSB, putting yourself into Vernier, forcing yourself to land and having to restart wasn't the strongest. Was not the strongest. Let me start this over real quick. By this, I mean VLC player. Take a quick second to go back, look at the desktop, and see if you find anything incriminating. You're not going to. Game 3. So switch to Nightingale and Hyakushiki. You asked, how do you avoid funnels? This is after you avoided the funnels. And I mean, you used a lot of boosts to do this. I told you some ways to do it, which you're going to look at them, you're going to try them, and realize they save some boost. But you asked that, and you alluded to the fact that you never avoid the funnels. You avoided the funnels. Kind of moving back and forth really close to your partner. So, like, you're very liable to get clipped by, like, anything that just sits on a vector, like rockets, gyros. I promise that wasn't scripted, but I mean, that's kind of the nature of what happens very often. This is a landing that it would have been fine if you step dove, but because your step dive is not on point, it's not automatic every time, you got clipped there. Same thing? No, this is because you step dove back. And because of the way both of you are moving, you step dove back onto the vector. Low boost again. Oh, this is a good example of what I was talking about, where you play really far out. Like, where have you gone in all this? You were in the middle in L-lock, and you were moving, which is fine, moving to the side, but you go really far back, far enough back that you're in green lock, and you're trying to shoot in green lock, right? So it's time to 2v1 your partner, and then hit you when you come in. Although it wasn't like the best thing ever. Oof. Oof. Running into the trap of an X1. But more importantly, sitting in L-lock. Getting hit by the X1 by itself wouldn't have been the worst. The double car, though. That's what made that a nightmare. That gives the other team time to go run a 2v1 in your partner. And what do you do when you stand up? You shoot funnels, very passively. You shoot in green lock, shooting more funnels. This is why your partner is getting 2v1'd and you're the 500 with burst. If you're planning on dying, you kind of should be boosting in to take the aggro away. Because now your partner is extremely low, and even if you somehow make it out of this scenario, which looks really grim, because I'll pause for a second. It looks really grim because you're like allowing the other team to 2v1 your partner. You're both low, so if it's very likely you're going to die at the same time and not be able to set up again when both of you spawn. Now, this goes back to the just getting in the habit of looking around or being more aware, and putting that into a muscle memory thing just to check your awareness, so you don't have to think about it, to check your surroundings. You see this this is Hyakushiki. You see this Hyakushiki go to your left, clearly on your screen, looking at you, and you never look at it. Double car. So you're going for like 3 seconds, 4 seconds. I mean, sure, that works out, and you got some hits. That's making the best out of a bad situation, but that's a situation that didn't have to be. Did not have to be. So both of you die in rapid succession. Other team, while low, has a pretty good order. Has a pretty reasonable order until the Hyakushiki died. So you have a full life. What are you doing with your full life? You are shooting from green lock. Again, the funnels are fine, but the BR, the striker, the CSB, none of those are going to hit. They're green lock. But you're so far down in your ammo count now. You're down to 2. You're down to 2 before any action really happens. Moving on. Gotta speed this up. Again, these are spot checks. I don't. Yeah, there's no way I can hit the next 4 of these in 10 minutes. I'm gonna try though. I'm gonna try really hard. I know I can't have you sit here forever. There's a thing is too much information. Funnels. The funnels are fine. Where are you going though? Going back and forth, back and forth. So you just run into a stray Jero. And while this Jero was technically meant for you, this Jero should have never hit you. It should have just split you up for a second. Kind of running close to your partner again. See, this is like a bunch of back and forth along the wall to make it really hard for you to get off the wall, really easy for you to get cornered. And it makes it hard for your partner to like help you out because he doesn't want to push up. He's the back line. But he can't take good shots because he's looking at both the suits come at him. Shield panned out, and you lost a decent chunk of it, or a small chunk of it, to the Jero, and that's just controlling the movement. Funnels, but they got taken away, so you don't have to worry about those. Why do you get hit here? You get hit here because you landed without step diving. Execution. And it just so happens that your partner is winning his 1v1, so this is working out. Back into open fire. The Nightingale should not have got hit, but he didn't burst. So this is actually, even with the execution that's been going on with you, this is a game that's working out in your favor because of bigger flaws on the other side. But your partner did die. Oh, this made me laugh. You see it. So you step and you avoid this, and because you jumped, you hop over the fence. I'm amazed it's panned out for you. Not that hop, the one you took before it, because you skipped off the building by accident. But because you weren't specifically trying to dodge the super, you have to sit there and process that it's a super and that you could do something about it. And this is a scenario where you're like, I'm going to hit the B button. And that's why I say you have to really know if you want to hit the B button to go melee people. Because that's a free punish that would have blew the game wide open. Dun, 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 dun. Full screen L lock, not ready for it. Crossfire. There's some funnels. The funnels hit you. And the funnels hit you because you didn't really see the funnels till the end. Therefore, you weren't ready for them. But like I said 2 matches ago now, you have to pay attention to how often you only see one suit. And there are a lot of times you only see one suit. Now, it's one thing that I could say that you stayed alive, but your game was very short-lived in this match. Your game was very short-lived. Like, your game was over very soon in this match. I'll throw a funny little tidbit out to you. Because this shot was in red lock, this shot tracked. And because this shot tracked, it threw off the timing of the burst. That was just funny to me. Because I totally got clipped by one more thing, and I was like, where did that come from? Alright. Do I want... No, I want you to just play it. I know exactly where I want to go. This is number 5. Late start, it happens. They're funnels. You got tripped by a funnel because you didn't get off the axis of them. You didn't get off the y-axis. But where are you moving? You have all the space to your left, and you are like trying to shove your partner into the corner and then trying to play behind your partner as the 500. Again, you don't have to play in, but you want to play in front of them. Now that's not your fault. He just ran in there and got messed up. But that, though, check this movement real quick. Check this movement real quick. And because you have to shoot all the time, you shoot an off-angle shot. When your partner's down, right? Yeah, you shoot an off-angle shot when your partner is down. And because you shot this off-angle shot, you are in vernier, meaning you have to boost again, or you have to wait till this boost is over to land. But you boost because you thought you landed. And then when you go to land, now you're overheated. So you're not moving for a second. And you can't see what's coming, which is offense. How many suits do you see? You see one. You have to check back and forth for them. It's a 1v1. You're chasing really hard into a 1v1, which, again, I don't fault you for. You're trying to get the hit, but you have to be able to assess, like, are they trying to get hit? If they're not trying to get hit, it's really hard to hit them. So you are shooting... How much did you shoot into this? A BR, 2 BRs, 3 BRs, 4, 5. Tried to shoot an extra rocket. Shot a striker. All into a guy who is moving away from you. And since your partner is not cutting the angle, unless this guy messes up, you're not going to hit him. Just like this guy messed up, so you hit him. See, like I would imagine not even saying anything to you, not being there, and in the apartment or the home wherever you're at. I'm pretty sure this is like starting to click to you again. Why did you get hit? How many could you see? One, you're in L, tacked on the side, and there is the bonus of you're on top of your partner. So there is a very good reason to just shoot over there. One of them will probably trip over it. That Nightingale didn't burst. 2v1. How hard did this 2v1 get pressed? Not very. Not very. And yeah, imagine you kind of see it because of the nature. Because of how things went in the beginning. Whether you did it by intent or by accident, it's good that you're playing back because your partner died first. But your partner died first, partially because he jumped in and died first, but also because because you didn't play up. Like, you didn't play in front of him. So there were some times that he was just left out to dry, and now you have to play back. Especially since you are low on your life. Because at the least, you have to try to make sure you get a full burst, which you're going to get anyways, but you want to try to milk as much as you can before you go down. So this is where you got to, like, try to play the edge of red lock and see where you can get the hits. Kind of like that guy. You're looking at that guy because you see the Jero. You look back because it's not in your field of vision. And was this even aimed at you? It was. I would not fault you if you said you didn't see this, but you realistically should have seen this and reacted to this. But the thing that's happening is you have to reorient yourself because your whole screen is changing, and then you have to assess what's there, and that's because you can't see both of the suits. Meanwhile, the two of you are still staying very close to each other, so you're very prone to stuff like that happening. Jeros. stray cars. Comes a Nightingale on the side. You cut in front of the Hyakushiki, but that would have been better if you didn't. That's on the other side of things. And you're back here, right? But this is the scenario where you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. So you're leaving your partner to dry, high and dry. And yeah, now that you stepped in, you're both in one-shot range. So you get hit. He's getting chased pretty heavily. You take some passive actions, which, I mean, you couldn't get over there anyways. He gets balled up. But, yeah. It's a case of trying to think about where to play. Play in front of your partner. You don't have to go and you don't have to hit the melee button. But if you're going to play that far back very often, you leave the opportunity of your partner to get focused down. Now, again, it wasn't completely him getting focused down. Some of those he just ran into. But it leaves a strong chance to your partner dying first. Where am I at on time? 101. Game 6. A little bit of the back and forth again. What do you get hit with first? Oh, you got... Oh, I didn't say... So there's a Providence now. So the first thing you get hit with is this funnel right here. This funnel right here. I don't know if you saw it or not, but because of how you move by default against funnels, you get clipped by a funnel. Now it's really hard to get away from the Nightingale funnels, and so it just all comes crumbling down like some Jenga blocks. How many suits do you see? You see one. You still see one. I'm sure there are two 1v1s. You're not double locked until now. For a quick second. How many suits do you see? So it's always kind of scary. You're looking at one guy trying to chase him an L, but is your movement good enough? Because you were being looked at from behind for a very long time. Here we are again, having to go back and forth. How you get away from the shotgun is beyond me, but you are too close to X1. See, that's a really good time to suit. That's one of the rare times that you saw both of the suits, but how long did it last? Not very long. Cage. And I don't know if you specifically moved away from the cage, but it was good that you did it. I'm pretty sure you moved away from that specifically. But hey, here's this again, where you go on the vernier, and you immediately try to boost dive and land while you're getting shot at, meaning you're not cutting track and you're getting hit, but you are also shooting physical ammo. CSB is physical ammo. I'm pretty sure it's physical ammo. It's like a lot of it. So it's just gonna lose the trade. But then you also didn't see the Nightingale on the side that hit you in a lot. Boost time, burst time. Oof, 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 oof. Which was quote-unquote finishing a combo, but you can do more. Burst first burst. And your partner's getting chased down because you bursted first. Meaning your partner is a prime target. That's just the nature of the game. But because you boost very far down... Actually, it wasn't because you boosted very far down. It was just simply you weren't looking behind you. Clipped in the back from the L. Where are these shots from? Alright, you barely made it in the red lock. Overboosted. I actually don't know why you didn't get down for that. At Providence, need to have a talk with him. What are you doing in green lock? Shooting. 1 BR. 2 BR. The far red lock shot without no L, with nothing really pressuring them. It's more wasted shots. I mean, again, when it's in red lock, you're keeping them from doing vernier stuff, but you have to see if they're actually doing vernier stuff. And if they're not, then it's pretty low percentage. Funnels, those are good to shoot. I guess I should have talked about this whole thing, because this was a time. Let's keep going back. Right here. Because your partner's healthy enough, but you die in your first life. And aside from this, a lot of your play is like playing back. So while it's nice for you, what happens with you playing back like this, like really passively, is your partner just gets chipped down. Realistically, both of you just get chipped down. And the bigger problem is your partner has less health total than you do right now. So it would do you wonders to like still play up for a bit until you get further down into your life. It's like you have 519 when your partner died. Your partner comes back with 160. You've had more life than your partner had on your second life. So you could have afforded to take some. And now your partner's in this crazy scenario where he lands, he has 160, he gets hit, he has to burst. But where are you at during all of this? One, you're not reacting to the spawn, which he spawns on the other side of the map. It'd be like that sometimes. But when he's spawning, you're shooting funnels, you're green lock shooting. You're making it really hard for you to get over and help. So now, it's another crazy scramble because you can never really get set because you're diving in, he's trying to scramble away, and like you guys never really like get on the same page. That is number 6. Number 7. Last but not least. Not least in the least bit. Ikimasu. Where are the funnels? They're on you. You avoid the funnels, but use a lot of boost. A lot of boost. Hey. Go back. Because you did the thing again. And while it wasn't the immediate cause of you getting hit, the thing being step dive and shooting CSB, which is vernier, meaning you're going to have to boost dive again. It's not the direct cause. Actually, it wasn't anything at all. You did 4 BC back into this. Now, this is a back and forth thing. Like, the real answer is you should have started going left to begin with. But since you went right, you should have kept going right. You also could have stepped forward and just went under the shot because it was really high. Again, choose your own adventure. Choose your own Gundam adventure. Pointing out a positioning thing again. How many suits do you see? You see 1 suit. And then you step in front of your partner. Or you step near your partner. You're going towards your partner. And your partner's coming towards you because you keep getting tagged, so he's going to help you. So the other team sees both of you together. You're not a threat. You can only see one at a time. You're in a weak position. And now you're actually starting to look back and forth. Oof. It's moving. I mean, this technically happens sometimes. You'd have got away if you step boosted. But you would have got away if you step boosted, right? because you're getting shot at. If you were prepared for Nightingale, and I haven't said this yet, but if you are ever prepared for Nightingale, one thing that should always be on your mind is where's the fence. If you ever listen to any VOD that I have where I'm like streaming whatever, I have a mic. That's what I'm looking for. If I ever have a mic, at some point in time, you hear me ask, where is the fence? It's constantly on my mind, but sometimes I vocalize it because I know this damn thing's coming. You've got to know that's coming. You somehow didn't get down for it, though. There's the funnels. Oh, this is so good. I'm actually going to go back and make a clip of that because this is so sick. I mean, I'm sorry, this isn't you at all. This is just so sick. Funnels, the fence, funnels, the free shot. So, you being double locked right here. Actually, there's not a whole lot you could have really done about this. Possibly go to the right, because you're going into the L, or what's going to form into an L. But not really, this is just a symphony of skills. That looks so clean. Alright, moving on though. What do you do when you stand up? You tech in, you boost back, you boost in. I think you boost back twice. Boost, yeah, boost twice. You do step dive CSB, meaning you haven't landed yet. So you boost, you jump and you land. Even if you don't get hit here, you're in overheat. So you're out of commission for a decent amount of time while your partner gets hit. Let's count the shots right here. Shot. Those are fair. Those are reasonable because this Nightingale is really high up. The first one's not, though. That shot's... no, it's technically reasonable because that's L-lock. So that one technically still is because you don't know the fence is coming because he's not looking at you. So I guess these aren't so bad. But why did I go back here? Because you have all this space over here, all this space over here, and you move back behind your partner. Now you start going over here. And you're trying. But the thing is, like, you keep going back in front of your partner. So when you go in front of them and you're on the same vector, your shots are very weak. And when you move towards your partner, you're very prone to being hit by stuff. Because this shot is literally not meant for you. This shotgun is literally not meant for you. He's not looking at you. But you get hit because you're next to your partner. The pyramid saves you from the cage. And you go for a punish. This isn't cutting your partner because Nightingale does one hit downs. And the real problem with this is because you're doing a full melee combo without stepping. Well, you're not even doing a full combo. You're just doing a full CC8B without checking, without stepping. You get hit, and therefore your team loses the trade. Actually, hold on. Yeah. I had to check to see if the Providence got hit, which it did. Therefore, you lost the trade. But the real reason you lost the trade is because you wanted to go in melee. And since you went in to go melee, you got hit. Therefore, you and your partner got hit, which is putting your team in a weaker position. And that's only for hitting the Nightingale. Nightingale wants to die. That's just progressing the match. So he gets something like this. Burst first burst. But are you ready? No. Your partner is low because he's been tagged. Left in a 1v2 and he dies. And now the game is in a Very, very dangerous position. Alright, cool. It didn't go in a bad spot. Again, where does your partner spawn? He spawns on the other side. You are in the corner, away from everybody, shooting funnels as the 500 who died first, meaning you have full life. Your partner spawns into L-lock with a 160. You weren't ready for this. So, because of how you moved, and because of what you were doing when you moved, you have low boost when your partner spawns, and your partner only has 160. Can't make it in time. Can't make it in time. Whew. So I'm pretty sure that gives you a lot to think about. Like those were there was the talk up front in pointing out those 3 points and some others throughout the entire VOD. And some hands-on examples, some visual examples here and there. But yeah, that's really it. I don't need to fluff this. This is 115. You got the roadmap. Like you got some things to work on, some movement execution. You have some strategizing to do, thinking about like where you're trying to move, why you're trying to move there, like when you're trying to attack, when you're not trying to attack, so on and so forth. Things to actually think about outside of the game. And then when you have everything like formulated in your head, you got all your ducks in a row, you go and you play and you just drill those concepts again and again and again until you don't have to think about it anymore. That's what you're looking at right now. And on that, I'm going to cut this off. Until next time.